Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. Welcome to the program Toppers NEET Olympiad Foundation and a class 9th, and the topic is reproduction in flowering plants. Yes, and the type of questions we are going to discuss are conceptual understanding questions. So let us see the first question. How is pollination brought about in maize? Right? What is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower is a self-pollination. From one flower to another flower of the same species or the other species is called as a cross-pollination. Here the main concept is transferring of the pollen grains. Okay, so here how is pollination brought about in the maize plant he is asking. Okay, so he is asking what are the agents, right? By the insects, by the bats, by the wind or by the water. Okay, the image itself indicates it's a anemophily in maize plant through the wind. Okay, so the pollination which is occurring through the wind is called as a anemophily. So here what is the correct option? The correct option is option C, right? So what is by the insects, by the bats and by the water are the wrong options. Why? Because here we can observe the maize plants are growing in agricultural field areas. So they are being pollinated. The agent is nothing but the wind. So the correct option is option C. Option A by the insects is wrong. Option B by the bats are also wrong, and option D by the water is also the wrong option. Next, going for the second question. Hydrophily is best demonstrated by, what is hydrophily? A type of agent which is transmitted, nothing but the pollination which is done by the hydro in the sense the word itself indicates water. Okay, so the hydrophily is best demonstrated by, in which plant he is asking. Okay, so Nelumbium, Vallisneria, Nymphea and the Ramunculus. Okay, so Nelumbium is a type of lotus plant. So in the lotus plant we can observe a pollination which is done from the surface of the water, from inside of the water. Okay, so but coming to the Vallisneria is a underwater plant. Okay, so here the hydrophily is best demonstrated by the example is Vallisneria. Vallisneria is a underwater plant. So within the water itself, from one plant to another plant, the pollen grains will be transferring from one plant to the another plant or within the same plant. So Nymphea is also the wrong option. What is Nymphea? Is also a type of a water lily, and Ramunculus is a type of another plant. It's a terrestrial plant, a buttercup. Okay, so here Ramunculus is wrong, Nymphea is wrong, and Nelumbium are the wrong options. What is the correct option? Exactly within the water we can observe the transferring of pollen grains from one plant to another plant. Right? Hope you all understood. Going for the next question. Entomophily is pollinated by entomo. What is entomo? Entomo is nothing but the study. Entomology is a study of insects. The picture indicates, here you can observe multiple insects are trying to suck the nectar. Okay, so while they are going for sucking the nectar, the tips of the legs of insects will be just carrying forward the pollen grains to their leg tips, and from one place to another place where they are been moving from one flower to another flower, or within the same flower when they are been moving from the within the flower, the tips of the leg of insects do carry the pollen grains. They are being moving from one place to another place. So there we can observe entomophily. The agent are the insects. Insects are working as the agents over here. So here we can observe option D is the correct one. Water, through the water it's a hydrophily, and here we can observe the entomophily. The question is about entomophily. And animals, through the animals it's different, and through the air is also different. So what is the correct option here? Option D, insects. Okay, next. What is the fourth question? Lever mechanism for pollination is a characteristic feature of. What is lever mechanism? Lever mechanism in the sense, so this is a type of flower. We can observe one of the corolla is placed on the surface and another one is a lower. So these are exactly looking like a lips, upper lip and the lower lip. Okay, so while the insect comes and fall on this, first the insects will be coming onto the upper lip and then it moves onto the lower lip, and then it sits comfortably for just going for the sucking of nectar. Okay, so lever mechanism for pollination is a characteristic feature of which of all these plants? Ficus, salvia, ocimum or ranunculus. Okay, so the picture indicates salvia. This is the salvia flower, a type of mechanism, lever mechanism for the pollination process. Okay, adjusting from one place to another place. There we can observe the insect movement, and the pollination also can be seen from the insect where it moves from upper lip to the lower lip of a corolla placed, where the corolla is placed in a salvia flower. So there we can observe the lever mechanism. What is lever mechanism? Simple mechanism, the pollination which is done from one place to another place of the movement of the insect. Okay, so here the correct option is salvia, not the ficus, not the ocimum and not the ranunculus. Okay, so here we can observe the ficus, ocimum and ranunculus are completely different flowers. So there we can't observe the lever mechanism. There the agents might be the animals or through the wind or through the water, not a water. Salvia plant which undergoes the lever mechanism type of pollination, right? Next, what is the next question? Anther is generally composed of. What is anther? Anther is a one part of one organ of the male reproductive system. So anther is generally composed of. Okay, so how many sporangia? Sorry, he is asking the count. He has given the count 2 sporangia, 3 sporangia, 4 sporangia or the 1 sporangium. Here the picture if you observe, we can observe the male sporangia, right? Microsporangium and microsporocytes. So here what is the count? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So after the meiotic cell division, so we can observe the 4 haploid microspores will be formed. Okay, so this kind of 4 haploid microspores, microsporangia will be count 4. So what is the correct option? Option C, not the 2 sporangia, not 3 sporangia and not even single sporangium, nothing but the 1 sporangium. Understood? Coming to the next question. What is the 6th question, dears? Development and formation of pollen grains in anther of the stamen is known as. So where we can observe the development of the male gamete in the flowers. Okay, so what is a male gamete? Pollen grains are the male gametes. Okay, so what are the pollen grains? Where we can observe the pollen grains? We can observe the pollen grains which are developing in the anther. So development and formation of pollen grains in the anther of the stamens. Of the stamens in the sense, within the stamens we can observe the formation of a male gametes called as pollen grains. So what is this condition? What is this process called as? Developmental process of the male gametes in the anther of a stamen is called as is it a microsporogenesis, fertilization process, megasporogenesis or spermiogenesis he is asking. What is the first one? Microsporogenesis. Micro in the sense, in the previous question we have discussed already, microsporangia. In each pollen grain we can observe 4 sporangia. So those are the microspores. So these microspores, how many are formed? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are the microsporogenesis. Sporogenesis in the sense formation, manufacturing of the male gametes called as microsporogenesis. And fertilization is completely wrong. Fertilization is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes during the sexual reproduction process. And what is a megasporogenesis? Megasporogenesis can be seen in the nucleus of the germ cells. Either can be seen in the female gamete or can be seen in the male gamete. Okay, but megasporogenesis can be seen in the nucleus. Okay, so first the megasporogenesis occurs and then the microsporogenesis occurs. Okay, so the development and formation of pollen grains, the first one, micro, in the sense the cells will be micro in the micro process, and then we can observe the generation process. Okay, so megasporogenesis, it's a wrong answer. And spermiogenesis, spermiogenesis can be seen in the animals and the human beings. So we are discussing about the pollen grains, nothing but in the flowers. Okay, so the correct option is A, microsporogenesis. Okay, so this is the microsporogenesis, a microspore tetrad, a microspore maturing into a pollen grain. Megaspore will not mature into a pollen grain, but only the microspores will be developing into a pollen grains. Hope you all understood, dears. And coming to the next question. Sorry. 7th question. In angiosperms, meiosis occurs when? In angiosperms. What are angiosperms? Angiosperms are a type of plants where we can observe the seeds which are embedded within the fruit. Okay, so those are called as a angiosperms. What is a meiosis? Meiosis is a type of cell division where we can observe only the formation of gametes, and during the formation of zygote after the fertilization process we can observe this meiotic type of cell division. So in the angiospermic plants, meiosis occurs when? When does it occur? Okay, so what is the first option he is asking? Flowers are formed. Flowers are a part of plant where we can observe the reproduction process. Meiosis. In the flowers, we can't observe the meiosis process. In the pollen grains, during the formation of pollen grains, what are the pollen grains? These are the gametophytic cells. These are the gametophytic cells. Which kind of gametophytic cells? These are the male gametophytic cells, not the female ones. Female ones are the ovules. Okay, so the pollen grains are formed. So let us see, this might be correct, and even we will see the last two options also. Seeds are formed. What are seeds? Seeds are formed after the complete finishing of the fertilization process, and the fruit forms and the seeds will be forming. After fertilization we can observe the seeds are being formed. So this option will be wrong. Okay, and seeds germination. Seed germination in the sense, so that can be sown in the soil. It's completely different option, right? So in angiosperms, a meiotic cell division. So we previously have discussed about meiotic cell division occurs 2 times. So what is it 2 times? One is during the developmental stage of the either the male or the female gametes, and also occurs, this meiotic division occurs in the formation of zygote after the fusion or the fertilization process. So out of all these options, which is related to the gametophytic cell development? Pollen grain. Okay, so option B is the correct one. Hope you all understood. So the one mature pollen grain we can observe in the pollen sac. The pollen mother cells divide by which division process? During the formation of the male gametophytic cells we can observe the cell division called as a meiosis. Okay, to produce a male gametes called as a pollen grains. Okay, so this is the meiosis 1, to meiosis 2, and we can observe the formation of tetrad. 4 sporangia can be formed in the male gamete of phytic cell, pollen grains. Okay, so pollen mother cell. So all these are the dividing process. So the main concept over here is during the meiotic cell division, what will be formed? Which kind of process we can observe the meiotic cell division during the formation of a pollen grains is the correct option. Hope you all understood. Let's go for the next question. What is the 9th question? Pollen tube at the time of entering embryo sac has. Pollen tube. What is pollen tube? Where we can observe the pollen tube? When the pollen grain is reached on the stigma. Okay, so this is the female reproductive organ called as a stigma, and this is the style, and this is the pistil. So within the pistil we can observe the ovary and ovules. The female gametes called as a ovules. Yes, I hope you all are understanding here. So whenever after the pollination process, we can observe the transfer of the pollen grain and settling the pollen grain onto the stigma. After the stigma ripens, we can observe the pollen grain will be releasing a type of tube. Releasing in the sense germinating a type of tube called as a pollen pollen tube. Okay, so here what is the question he is asking? Pollen tube at the time of entering the embryo sac. Where is the embryo sac over here? So this is the ovule, a female gamete in the flower. So within the ovule we can observe this is the pollen tube is trying to enter into the embryo sac. This is the embryo sac. Yes, and this is the pollen tube. So what he is asking the question, pollen tube at the time of entering embryo sac has. What does it has? What does the pollen tube has? It has 3 male gametes, it has 2 male gametes, it has one male gamete nucleus, or 4 gametes. Okay, so what is the correct option? 3 male gametes is a wrong option. It's not a correct option. Why? Because 2 male gametes we can observe here. Can you observe here? One is the generative cell and one more is the vegetative cell. During the transferring process, during the traveling process, the generative cell will be dividing into 2 sperms. Okay, 2 sperms. The 2 nuclei which are present in each sperm will be entering and fusing with the egg cell which is present inside the embryo sac. Okay, so why does it has a 2 male gametes? Right, so one male gamete is for one nuclei fuses with the egg cell and forms the zygote. Okay, and the second one will be, second sperm nucleus will be reaching towards to the central cell and forms the development of the endosperm. Okay, so for the double fertilization, this process is called as the movement of the sperm cells. The sperm cells which are present in the pollen tube. First sperm cell will be fusing with the egg cell first of all and forms the zygote. This is the first fertilization, and as it is moving from the pollen tube, the second sperm nucleus will be moving from the pollen tube and enters into the micropylar region of the ovule region, and as it enters into this, the zygote already formed by the first fertilization. By the second fertilization, the second sperm nucleus will be reaching the polar nuclei, nothing but the central cell. So there we can observe the division process and the development of the endosperm. Okay, so in this process, angiosperms, we can observe the double fertilization. So we can observe how many male gametes here? 2 male gametes. Understood? Right. Coming to the next question. The sequence of development of embryo sac. What is embryo sac? Embryo sac is one of the place where we can observe the fertilization process occurs in the flowering plants. Okay, So what are the options over here? Archisporium, megasporophyte and the embryo sac. Archisporium sorry, megaspore mother cell and the embryo sac. Archisporium, megaspore mother cell, megaspore and the embryo sac, and Archisporium, megaspore mother cell, embryo sac and the megaspore. So out of all these, which is the correct one? Let us see the Archisporium, megaspore and megasporophyte and the embryo sac. Okay, so is this the correct option? Archisporium and the megaspore mother cell first comes. Okay, so after the Archisporium, where is the megaspore mother cell? In this option. Okay, so this comes first, Archisporium comes first, next the megaspore mother cell, next forms the megaspore, and next we can observe the formation of a embryo sac. Okay, so first, second, third and fourth. Okay, option C is the correct one. Okay, so these options are the wrong options. Understood? So Archisporium, megaspore mother cell, megaspore and the embryo sac. Okay, so the here picture is also indicating over here the archisporial cell, primary parietal cell. Parietal is nothing but the mother. Primary sporogenous cell, parietal, megaspore, mother cell and linear megaspores. Okay, so mother cell first and next we can observe the megaspores. At last we can observe the embryo sac formation, right? Hope you all understood. Coming to the next question. The functional megaspore undergoes the functional megaspore undergoes. Okay, so how many type of divisions for forming a mature embryo sac he is asking? 2 meiotic divisions to form mature embryo sac, 3 meiotic divisions to form a mature embryo sac, 2 mitotic divisions to form a mature embryo sac, or 3 mitotic divisions to form a mature embryo sac. So within the embryo sac we can observe the antipodals at the anterior region and synergids at the either side of the egg cell, and inside exactly at the central part we can observe the central nuclei, nothing but the polar nuclei, the central cell. So here he is asking, so during this process what forms? Okay, so here you can observe the mitosis. Okay, how many mitosis? 2 or 3 mitosis. Okay, so 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so 3 mitotic cell divisions which occurs to form a mature embryo sac. Okay, so here the option D is the correct one. 2 mitotic, it's wrong. 3 meiotic, here he has given count is correct but type of division is wrong, meiotic. Okay, and next one is 2 meiotic divisions, it's a wrong option. What is the correct option for developing a mature embryo sac? 3 mitotic divisions to form a mature embryo sac. Why it has to occur 3 mitotic cell divisions? Okay, so here we are observing one egg cell forms, and egg cell and the central cell do undergo the fertilization process, and coming to the antipodals and the synergids. Antipodals and synergids has to form as a separate cells, but they do not undergo the any fertilization process. They will be undergoing the development after the formation of the zygote and the endosperm. So those will be helpful for formation of the remaining parts in the fruit body. Okay, so the mitosis 1, 2 and 3. 3 mitotic cell divisions occurs for the mature formation of the mature embryo sac. Right? Next question. Which one is a female gametophyte? A very easy question. Okay, so female gametophyte, up till now we were discussing, in depth we discussed. So this is a very easy question. Which one is a female gametophyte? Which of these? Embryo sac, endosperm or the synergid? Okay, so what is embryo? Embryo is a type of resultant one, a group of cells which are formed after the formation of a zygote in the plants and also in the animals or the human beings also we can observe. So this is the wrong option. Which one is the female gametophyte? Female gametophyte. It's a embryo sac. What is embryo sac? Can be seen in the ovule. Okay, so this will be the correct option. And what are the next two options? Let us see. Is the endosperm. What is endosperm? So after the fertilization process, within the female gamete, nothing but the ovule, we can observe the embryo sac. So this kind of embryo sac will be undergoing the fertilization process. After fertilization process, when does the endosperm forms? After the second fertilization, fusion with the second sperm cell, the endosperm forms. So this is also the wrong option. And option D is the synergid itself. Synergid is one of the part of a embryo sac. So which one is the female gametophyte? Is the embryo sac, right? Next question. Embryo sac is found in, where we can observe the embryo sac? Very easy question. So what is this? It's a cross section of the ovule. Okay, so within the ovule we can observe the embryo sac embedded within the, why the embryo sac has to present inside the embryo sac? Why? Because as a fusion occurs from the pollen tube, the development must be occurred only inside the gamete. Okay, so that is called as a embryo sac, which is seated inside the ovule, right? So embryo sac is found in, directly you can go for the option C, ovule. Okay, not the endosperm, not the embryo, and not the seed. Endosperm is a result of the second fertilization, and embryo is the also the, in the animals we can observe the group of cells forms after the formation of a zygote, and seed is the complete resultant one. After the complete formation of a fruit, we can observe the ovule converts into seeds. Okay, non-fertilized will be converting into the seeds. This is also the wrong option. What is the correct option? Option C, ovule is the correct option, right? And what is the next question? Synergids are, previously we have discussed where we can observe the synergids within the embryo sac. So what is the condition of synergids, he is asking. Are they the haploid? Haploid is nothing but single number of nucleus. Single number of nucleus can be seen in the haploid. Are they diploid? Means 2n number of nucleus can be seen, it seems. Okay, and triploid means 3n number of nuclei can be seen in the synergid, it seems. Okay, and aneuploid, A is nothing but there is no nucleus. Okay, haploid, diploid or triploid. So coming to the picture itself, so where we can observe the 7 cells but 8 nuclei we can observe in the cells which are present inside the embryo sac. Sorry. And within the embryo sac, egg cell contains single nucleus, synergid contains single nucleus, the antipodals, each antipodal also contains single nucleus, and the polar nuclei within the central cell. This is the central cell which contains 2 nuclei. Okay, so here he is asking the question, synergids is in which condition? Based on the number of count of the nucleus we can observe the synergids are in the haploid condition, means single n number of nucleus is present in the synergid cells. Very easy question, right? And coming to the next question, double fertilization is characteristic of. Double fertilization, so where we can observe the double fertilization? In the angiosperms. Okay, so angiosperms, algae, gymnosperms or the bryophytes. Okay, so what are the angiosperms? The angiosperms are nothing but the seeds which are included within the fruit. So within these we can observe the micropylar region is the site where we can observe the fusion of the male gametic tube will be releasing into the female ovule. Okay, so here the option is angiosperms, algae. So where we can observe the algae? Algae can be found in the on the surface of water bodies. And coming to the gymnosperms, what are the gymnosperms? Gymnosperms we can observe a type of fertilization is nothing but the porogamy. Okay, so porogamy in the sense we can observe the type of fertilization, type of tube entry will be done directly. So this is the micropylar region. Okay, so here directly here the movement of the pollen tube is entering from this region to micropylar, but in the gymnosperms we can observe the entry of the pollen tube directly from this region is called as a porogamy, can be seen in the gymnosperms. And type of algae, algae are been given as examples over here. In the algae and the bryophytes we can observe zoidogamy. What is zoidogamy? Zoidogamy is a type of reproduction can be seen in the plants where the male gametes in these organisms are the antherozoids. Okay, so what do? They will be swimming in a film of water to the female gametes. Okay, so female gametes are called as a archegonium, male gametes are the antherozoids, and coming to the female gametes are the archegonium. Zoidogamy is found in which of the following plants? Algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, and in some very few gymnosperms. Gymnosperms we have discussed previously, it was a porogamy, but not in all. In very few gymnosperms we can observe the type of zoidogamy, type of the reproduction, fertilization process. So here the double fertilization can be seen only in the angiosperms, not in the algae, not in the gymnosperms, and also not in the bryophytes. Hope you all understood. So this is a type of double fertilization in the flowering plants, can be seen directly the entry of the pollen tube from the stigma to the style towards to the micropylar region. Hope you all understood. Yes, so this is the ending of this concept. Thank you very much. Hope you all understood and enjoyed the video. So we'll meet in the next class, right?